guys. I do know that we're not the only ones casting this. I'm pretty sure that Wardy also casted some of these matches. I don't know if he casted all of them, but he did cast some of them a couple of days ago. And I'm sure other community casters are on top of these replays as well. But here we go, spawning in the top right hand corner of Alkione, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing himself, currently teamless. Returning here to the game, returning from military service. Can he fight back? Can he qualify for GSL? It is Stats. We go. A Terran versus Protoss is upon us. And again, Cure, he's a menace in this matchup. He is a beast. The matchup has evolved over time, especially with the new patch. Cyclone openers are definitely viable here. Even more viable in TvP to go for Cyclone drop play. It was very trendy the month of December and the month of January as well, post-patch, to go for eBay blocks. eBay blocks, they were so common and so popular, leading into Cyclone pushes and Cyclone all-ins. It was very difficult for the Protoss to defend, but over the course of January and February, Protoss, they got better and better and even better at just scouting and denying those eBay blocks. So eBay blocks have fallen by the wayside. They were trendy for a month, then they fell off. So again, the meta has been shifting. And likewise, Cyclone drop play has also fallen out of favor as well. Again, it was very trendy when the patch was shiny and new, but over the past couple of months, has fallen off. And we do see Cure going for a double gas opener. Double gas opener into a faster factory. Delayed CC from our Terran player here. And what are we going to be going for? With a delayed CC, we could go for some Hellions here just to scatter across the map, like Reaper Hellion, not unheard of. We could go into early game Cyclone production. We could go for earlier Widowmine production as well. We have our answer. Widowmines are on the way. Okay. So this should be a setup for a mine drop. Speaking of, Medak production is soon on the horizon as well. And back at home, we have our tech of choice. We've seen Classic do this. That's going to be embracing it as well. Going for the tech at the natural is going to be a Twilight Council blink opener from Stats. And Cure does confirm. He dips into the natural. He does get eyes on the Twilight Council. Cure is fully aware of what's going on. Now, just because it's blink doesn't mean we know exactly what's happening here. It could be 2-gate blink, 3-gate blink, or even 4-gate blink. There are different levels of commitment, different levels of aggression that Stats can go for. Blink is being researched. Meanwhile, back at home, Cure, we have built up quite a lot of Widowmines. Remember, it was a Widowmine first opener from double gas from Cure, so he already has 2 Widowmines. A 3rd Widowmine is on the way. Could even try to go for a 4th. That is just 3 Widowmines for the time being. And the drop is moving out. Meanwhile, back at home, Stats still setting up. We have 1 gateway in the main, we have 1 gateway in the natural. It looks like a 2-gate blink opener into a 3rd. Looks like a very economic build from Stats. There we go, 3rd base is on the way. So Cure has nothing to worry about. No aggression from Stats. And the mine drop should confirm this. As the mine drop is going to be making its way into the main. Stats in position. Does have Stalkers. Does get a lot of hits in already. And Cure, he's going to be stuck here. He's going to be cornered here on Alkione. And this is pretty committed as well. 3 Widowmines. He needs to get some damage done with this. And he sees nothing in the main. But he does see the 3rd. So even though Cure hasn't seen the lack of gateways, because he saw the 3rd base, he knows it's economic. He can chill back at home. We're getting into Raven production. Marines are amassing. Safety bunker is on the way. Cure not even bothering with tanks. As against a 3 or even 4 gate Blink Stalker build, we would need tanks to defend. But again, Cure has identified that doesn't need them, does avoid them. Behind this, Stats getting into his tech, getting into his upgrades. We have the Forge, we have the Bay for Colossus production. So 2 gate Blink into a 3rd into Colossus. Again, it's been pretty greedy and economic from Stats. I say that because there are some Protoss players that go for us. We go for the Mind Drop. Stats! He's not paying attention! No! Big shots go off, and just like that, 15 workers go down, 16 workers even. As we do get another worker towards the end. The entire mineral line does get evaporated. Stats, he responded so well initially. He had cornered the medevac, but just like that, in one swift move, Cure is miles ahead. Those were some juicy connections. Now, thankfully, because Stats did go for a really fast 3rd, I was just talking about how Stats went for the 3rd before the Bay, which is not something that all Protoss players do. So a little bit of a greedier move here. He can try to recover, but he's stuck reproducing so many probes where he otherwise would be focusing on production, warp-ins, and his army. So Stats is vulnerable. Stats is vulnerable, and you can see Cure start to take a lead in supply. And that lead is going to extend. As whenever Cure does decide to move out, Stats is going to be in a lot of trouble. Again, Stats, he's building up those Colossi. He has 1, soon to be 2 Colossi. That is true, but we have the Raven. We have the Raven, we have the Disable. 3rd base on location. Cure knows he has map control. Again, he should be feeling pretty good about all those worker kills. Pretty confident. He does move out. Gonna be careful not to lose the Raven. Reinforcements are on the way. Does scan ahead of time. There's a shield battery. There's an overcharge, a cannon as well. We do have the Colossus. Speaking of, there's a Disable. The Colossus, it does nothing. Cannon gets focused down. Widowmines are burrowing as well. And can we focus down the Colossus? We can! We get the first Colossus kill. But Stats will hold. Same time, drop was attempted in the main. Didn't get too much done. Mine gonna take down a Stalker. And again, Stats, he's holding, he's surviving for now. And Cure, he's getting ready to pull his opponent apart. We do have a Mind Drop towards the natural, a triple drop towards the main. Oh, Stats is moving out. Uh-oh. Does move out at the wrong time. And is he paying attention? He's up. He is. But too late. Big connections once again. After the mineral line goes down. Good target firing here by Stats. Oh my god, he gets 3 medevacs. Very nicely done. Finally a win here for Stats. As I say that, he's still going to lose all these Stalkers. Oh god. A surprisingly good trade here, as only 1 medevac unloaded, or 1.5, and still traded well against the Stalkers. But again, Stats isn't out of it. Sniping 2 full medevacs was pretty huge. Or 1.5 full medevacs, I should say. Oh, and the Widowmines survived? Oh god, the Widowmines, the shots that went off here earlier, they did survive. We're ready to go in once again. Cure pulling Stats apart. As the army moves out, Cure does spot this, he confirms it. Which means there's that much less to defend. This time the main base is exposed. There's 1 Stalker in position. Double drop is coming in. We force a recall. We're not forcing a recall back home. As we do see Stats going for his own counterattack. Does go for a Zealot drop here into the natural. Widowmines come in. Don't get shots off. Stats. He cleans up the army. He does lose the War Prism. Oh, that was a brutal loss across the map. Secure, he does maintain his position. With the death of that War Prism, that means there's nothing to worry about back at home. No backstabs, no counterattacks. But Cure has been a little bit careless. He has been bleeding out a lot of medevacs. 7 medevacs have gone down. That is pretty insane. Like, Kira has to calm down. Some of the drops have been successful, to be fair, but recently the drops less so. So Kira, he needs to tighten things up here, as Stats is not taking this line down. Still behind, don't get me wrong, but if Kira does throw away more drops and more army, then Stats can recover. 4th base is on the way. Stats, he's on 2 Colossus, working towards Storm, trying to diversify his splash damage. And you can see that Kira is calming things down. After the non-stop drop play, Kira, he's like, okay, I need to build up my medevac counts, as I have 0. You see the medevacs even running out of energy here. Getting back into his production. 4th CC is finishing up. And I do like this from Kira. Again, just macroing up here towards a higher army supply, and eventually Kira should be able to overwhelm Stats if he does push with everything together. He's got Vikings, Ghosts, EMPs. Stats working towards Sky Toss. Bold move. That is +1 air attack and a Stargate on the way. I mean, we are in Alcyone. You know, we're known for longer late game scenarios here on this map. If Stats can survive long enough, then, I mean, he's set up for Sky Toss. He is. Will Kira give him that time, though? That's the question. He's moving out. Stats, he needs a couple of minutes. A couple of minutes here to start working towards carriers, but Kira, he's already pushing. He's already maxed out. 190 supply against the 160 of Stats. Goes to come in big EMPs. EMPs here on the High Templar. Onto the ground army. Overcharge going to be popped. A decent storm on the Vikings. Does force back the army. You have more storms available here on top of the ramp. At the same time, Zealot drop into the main. Do manage to kill some workers. Once again, big storms here, zoning back the Bio Army. Another storm comes in, and another as well. Stats! Can we pull this off? Do we have another storm? What of us? No storms left. But Stats, he does force back the army. Oof. Oh god, that was a brutal mine shot. Takes down the High Templar, takes down the Sentry. And Stats, he holds onto his base. He did lose all of his High Templar, his Spellcasters, he lost all of his Colossus. He's trying to rebuild, and he's working towards more Stargates. Stats, he survived, but he's not quite living yet. Cure, his macro, his economy is getting out of control. He's already rebuilt his army. And Stats still needs more time. Beat back a Ghost. Doing what we can. Prism was rebuilt. And once again, we see Cure just licking his wounds, maxing out here, getting towards 200 supply, working towards the goal base, the 5th. 3-3 on the horizon. Just cool, calm, and collected play here at a Cure. Stats is making 3 carriers at a time. If Cure waits a little bit too long, then maybe we can get our carriers up and running. Maybe we can get our storm going as well. Maybe it will be enough. It's a Hail Mary play. It's a risky move here from Stats. But it's his only chance. It is his only shot here in this game. Cure getting ready for a June drop. Zealot run by. Does distract Cure for a moment, but the goal base is being taken. Speaking of, Zealot run by wants to get into the natural and main. Cure's getting ahead of time. Not going to be able to push in. The carriers, they're arriving. The first 3 carriers, they are finishing up. There's going to be 3 more behind this. Zealot's still going ham. We can deny +3. +3 armor is going to be denied. Cure still looking for a dive. There is a wall of cannons. As he drops into the main. The Sky Toss has been revealed. Slow zone here on the army as well. Can we hold? The Colossus going ham. The carriers as well. And it looks like Stats, he will defend. Cleans up the Doom drop. Forces back the army. But he's not in position here at his 5th. I spoke too soon. The Stalkers rotate over. Drop here towards the 4th. Storm does connect. Stats, can we hold? The answer is no. We cannot save the 5th base. The Nexus will fall. Cure still overwhelming Stats. Still does take down the base. And Stats is going for a counterattack with his carriers? Okay. I mean, so he does have a recall. He can recall to the mothership. That is possible. Yeah, the carriers are coming back home. Mothership as well. And Stats, can we hit critical mass? We have reached 5 carriers. That's okay. That's an okay amount. We still need more though. Meanwhile, Cure finishing up +3 ship weapons. Second Stargate is finishing up as well. Sorry, second Starport. You're being forced back. I'm still not certain that Stats can take a fight. Yeah, this is not going to be it. The Prism goes down. Shows the Storm. EMP does connect first. Big EMPs here on the High Templar. 1 Storm is all we had. And Cure, he's pulling Stats apart. Drop into the natural. Forcing away the attention. We'll lose his Metamax. Stats, he's pushing for the first time in a long time. Stats is pushing out. Does get on top of those ghosts. Gets 2. Let's pick off 2 ghosts. Still building up his High Templar count. What is missing here? High Templar is good. Some disruptors would be nice. There it is. 2 robos on the way. But disruptor production would be good just because EMPs don't really affect disruptors. So it's a good way to zone away the ground army. Vikings are amassing. We're making 6 Vikings at a time. A big shout to Stats though, because again, he has been able to hold on for what, an extra 8 minutes? It was around the 11-minute mark when he was working towards Skytoss. Big Storm here does connect with the army. Cure, he just eats it. Oh my god. The Storms are the real MVPs this game. No! Templar goes down. But for Stats, the Storms, they have been the MVPs. They've been keeping Stats alive time and time again. He is bleeding out High Templar. Down to 6. The base is going to fall. The Vikings come in. They take down the mothership. They shut the mothership down. Ooh. Storm zoning them away. Mothership's being rebuilt. The disruptors are in production. Again, disruptors are the one thing that we are lacking here. But this is worrisome. We're working towards liberators. And with the arrival of liberation zones, disruptors aren't anywhere near as effective. Suddenly, we need Tempest. With the arrival of liberators, we need like a more heavily focused Skytoss army. Tempest instead of Carrier. Now, we don't need them yet because liberators haven't arrived, but they're on the way. They're on the horizon. And the ground army of Stats is going to be struggling here against those libs. Stats being forced back. God, how many Vikings do we have? 34! 34 Vikings! I'm pretty sure we're within one-shot range. I think we can one-shot. Oh, God. Those carriers, especially with EMPs. Big storm once again. You're going to be forcing back the army. Storm kills the ghost. Once again, big storm here on the ghost and on the Vikings as well. Do we have another storm? Looks like we do not. The Vikings, they go ham. They focus down as many carriers as they can. Another storm does get thrown down. 2 carriers left. 1 carrier left. We're down to 0. The Sky Toss was annihilated. More High Templar coming in. Again, a little bit too late. And Cure now working on those liberation zones. On those libs. Stats is now stuck with a Blink Stalker Disruptor based army. Not the most efficient army. But we do have a lot of dead supply in those Vikings. Big connection. Big Nova there from Stats. He arrives with so many more disruptors. The Bulls. Let's go. Novas, they connect. Big connections here on the Vikings. And again, it's landed Vikings against Stalkers. Not ideal. Stats, can we bring this together? His army is so battered though. It's so bruised. So very low. Can we pull this off? Gonna be rotating around. We have 8 disruptors with the main army. 8 disruptors, a handful of storms, a handful of High Templar. Doesn't quite connect. Pure expanding towards the north. Taking another base. Stats is here to try and delay. Does move in with some Stalkers. Again, Stats, he's barely touched the economy of Cure in quite some time, outside of Zealot run-bys in the main and natural. Cure's economy is still strong. Stronger than that of Stats. Stronger than that of Stats. Oh, and Cure, he's remaxing. Remaxing this time with Ghost Lib. Earlier, Stats had a chance because Cure had so much supply in Vikings. So much dead supply in Vikings, but that isn't the case anymore. Decent Novas. Once again, they connect. Oh no! They connect with the ghosts. Big connections. Let's go. Cure not paying attention. He was focusing across the map, but the drop gets cleaned up. Stats, he does defend. He's doing it. Getting back into carriers. I would like Tempest more, I'll be honest. Against all these libs, I would appreciate Tempest more. Regardless, carriers are back on the way. Good storm on the bio. Oh. But yeah, Freedom has arrived. They take down the Disruptor. Forcing the Protoss army further and further back. Good storm here from Stats. But can he push in? The Novas! They do connect. Once again, taking down more of those ghosts. Oh, big storm as well, but is it going to be enough? Because Cure, he's breaking through. He's overwhelming Stats. There's just too much bio. Too much on the ground. The Disruptors are on cooldown. GG gets called. Stats doesn't have enough. He cannot hold on. And Cure will take game number 1. Ah. GG. GG, well played. Not the easiest game there for Cure. Cure, he had such an advantage. He had so many leads in that game. He was killing so many probes. The mine drops were insane. The Widow Mine drops were crazy from Cure. But it did feel like maybe Cure was overconfident. Maybe because he was so far ahead, because he was doing so much damage, he was a little bit careless. We saw Cure lose a lot of drops throughout the mid game, specifically. And Stats, and after Cure had lost so many drops, that forced him to be passive thereafter. It forced him to just calm things down, and he was just stuck at home. And in that time period, Stats, he got away with the Sky Toss, got into carrier production, eventually got into Disruptors. He made a game out of it. Like, Stats, to be fair, he was behind the entire time. Like, I'll be honest, he was ever since the mine drop, Stats, he was behind. He was never quite able to recover. But despite that, things were getting close there towards the end, and Stats, he was taking some great fights, some great engagements, good storms, disruptors, really good spellcaster usage, I think I would say, like good army control overall from Stats. But the problem is that he stumbled his way into the late game. He wasn't able to like get there in a good position, so Stats was just perpetually on the back foot. And even with Cure taking some bad fights towards the end, didn't matter. He had the better economy, he had the better macro. Could sustain those losses. Stats couldn't. GG. GG, well played. GG, well played. Again, despite the rough start, I'm happy that Stats made a game out of that, and here we go. We're getting into game number 2. The pressure is now on Stats. He needs to win this game to fight back to force the ace match. Meanwhile, Cure needs one more to qualify for this season of GSL. Let's go. Here we go. Poor Cure had rage quit after those balls. There was some pretty good Novas. There was some pretty good balls. But, you know, Cure, he took them to the face. He liked it, Bob. He liked it. He was able to keep things going. And here we go. Here he is, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of site Delta. We have our South Korean Terran player. The Red Terran representing Team Liquid. One game away from qualifying for GSL. It is Cure. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss. South Korean Protoss player returning from the military, trying to fight back in this game, in this series. Pulling his way back in. The pressure's on. He needs to win this game to force the ace match. It is Stats. Here we go. Also, I'm sorry, I'm catching up with the chat. This is not the ESL chat, by the way. I see some clowns in the chats trying to cry about cyclones, question mark. I get it. So, if you don't calm things down, the mods, they will be whipping out their hammers. They will hammer you, Bobby. If you like that sort of thing, then go for it. Just get banned. Ay. Clowns, Bobby. Here we go. We're getting into game 2. There weren't even any cyclones made in that last game. What's going on with the chat? What's happening? Calm yourselves, buddy. Calm yourselves. As we do have a gate expand here from Stats. Pretty standard opener from our Korean Protoss. Meanwhile, Cure going for a racked expand as well. So nothing too wild, nothing too crazy here in the other game. We have seen Cure and Terran players in general, you know, whip out proxies here in mid-series, but Cure having none of that. Going for a standard opener. I mean, I should also reiterate that if you remember, last game, Cure did open up double gas. He opened up double gas into a fast factory, into a fast winter mine production, into a pretty committed mine drop, which dealt so much damage, and that's how Cure took a really early lead in game 1. Here, with a Rax Expand, it's going to be not as aggressive here. It means that Stats is going to have an easier early to mid game, or slightly less pressured early to mid game, as there is no committed mine drop. So Cure just easing his way into game 2, calming things down after game 1. Don't give me flashbacks to that one guy who would be intentionally banned in every SC2 channel. Oh. Aye. Not like this. Don't be like that guy. Probe somehow slipped into the main, by the way, so Stats, he got a full scout off. He did confirm, despite the economic opener, it is going to be a 1-1-1. Did confirm that there was no 3 racks, for example, or 2-on-1 setup. Stats is fully aware. Meanwhile, Cure investing into initially Hellions. Reason for this is because Cure hasn't seen anything. He didn't go for an SCV scout. He didn't go for a Reaper scout. Cure, he is in the dark as to what exactly is going on. So he invests into these Hellions to get across the map to figure out what exactly Stats is up to. Hallucination Scout coming in. We do see it's going to be another Twilight Council. It's going to be a 2-gate Blink opener. This looks like 2-gate Blink into a 3rd, which is what Stats went for in game 1. We'll see if that continues to be the case here in game number 2. Robot has been thrown down. Hallucinations coming in. And we do confirm the lack of add-on swap. We do confirm all the Widow Mines. Yeah, we get eyes on all 4 Widow Mines stats. He sees the mine drop coming across the map. He should be ready for it. Should be. Let's see if he can prepare. Well, Hellions, they're looking for a 3rd base. And it looks like they should rotate over and they will get eyes on the 3rd. This does confirm the economic start from stats. Does confirm the 2-gate blink into 3rd base. So Cure, he's now fully aware of what's going on. He's aware that he doesn't need tanks back at home. And he's working on Raven production. So good scouting out of Cure. Mind Drop comes in, heads towards the natural. Gets into the middle line and stats, he will pull back. Oh god! Oh, pulls back too soon on the reaction. It wasn't there. Stats bleeding out so many probes. There's still one more mine shot going off. Get one more probe towards the end. And that is going to be 13 dead workers. And Cure, he even escapes with 2 of those Widow Mines. Ay, ay, ay. Stats. No. Again, just a fumbled reaction there out of stats. Pulled away, then pulled back in. And then, just a little bit too chaotic. A little bit too nervous, maybe. And just like that, once again, 2 games in a row, Cure has a massive lead here at the start of the game. 13 dead workers, that's basically a mineral line. And yeah, stats, sorry, Cure is chilling. He's looking good. The pressure is now on stats. Behind this, we're working towards the Bay, working towards Colossus production. The problem is, because stats went for a 2-gate opener, like, he can't counterattack. Like, he can't apply any pressure. He's going in with 2, like, this is stats' pressure. 2 Stalkers, they get in, they scout, and they're gonna be shut down. Like, stats, he can't really punish Cure, he can't really reciprocate the damage, he's forced to recall back home. Is forced back. And stats is just gonna be stuck at home just probing up. I don't blame him for counterattacking the way that he just did. Again, like, he knows that he has to do something. The Mind Drop comes back in. This time, stats, he does react. He does pull away. Mind Shot goes off towards the natural. Oh, God. Thank God. Looks like one more probe goes down in the main. Stat Cells minimizes losses. Hellion slips into the mineral line as well, but we shouldn't get too much done. Yeah, we just soften up those probes, but not much else. As the aggression has subsided. Well, Cure, though, he wants to capitalize on his advantage. He is rallying across the map. And what do we have to work with? We have a decent amount of bio, Marines, Marauders, Ravens. Stats hasn't been skipping his warpins. Has an army. No Colossus yet, though. So this push is looking pretty terrifying. Colossus production is just now commencing for stats. There we go. Shield battery on the way at the 3rd. Stats with the observer. He does have eyes on the army. He does see. If he can pick up a Raven, that'll be ideal. But here he is pushing. The Colossus is not going to be enough. We have disables. We have interference matrix. Colossus has Rive Scan, does reveal it. Stats supplied for a moment there. We get the disable off and we can collapse on this army. Do you have an overcharge? We just ignore the 3rd base. We go straight for the natural instead. Dragging the army out of position. The chain disables. The chain matrix on the Colossus. We depower the robot. We get into the mineral line. And we disable the Colossus for a 3rd time. It just wants to fight. It just wants to whip out its lasers. GG gets called. It's just too much. And Cure will snowball out of control, taking the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations. Cure has qualified for this season of GSL. Congratulations here. My condolences to stats. Game 1 was more back and forth. I mean, I say that. Game 1, stats still had a really hard time against the Widowmine drop play, but he still made a game out of it. Here in Game 2, Cure was so quick to just capitalize on his advantage. He crippled the economy of stats, and then he came in with the killing blow. GG. Congratulations. Ooh. And with that, we are now more than halfway through the broadcast. Here we go. As we switch our scenes over, we can have a look at the matches that we have just gone over. We just covered Dark versus SOS. Dark did... Oh, sorry. I have to update this. Sorry. I'm updating the scores on the fly. Bam. There we go. But we started the line off with Dark taking down SOS 2-0. Did qualify over SOS first. We do have Shin taking down Cure. Shin, again, a very strong showing here from our Zerg player. He did stumble against Cure, but if you were here for it, in game 1, Shin was trying to make mutas work. He was punished for the mutas. The mutas, they weren't worth it at all, and did fall back on Ling Main Hydra in game 2 and game 3, looking much more solid. Did qualify over Cure, and Cure was able to qualify in the lower bracket in his second life against stats 2-0. So we have our 3 qualified players. If you are a fan of SOS and stats, do not worry, they are seeded and invited into a last chance qualifier. So they will have a final chance to qualify for GSL later on tonight. Meanwhile, we have 2 series remaining. 2 qualifying matches remaining here for round 1. We have Beyond versus Solar, and the loser of that series versus Su. 3 players remaining. 2 of them will qualify. The other will be, again, seeded and invited into round 2, into that last chance qualifier. Oh boy. Here we go. Now, we are going to be going on a short break. We're going to be going on a short break here before the final 2 series. So take this moment to catch your breath, get some snacks, get some water, go to the bathroom, drain your disruptors, hydrate your hydras, massage your marines. And we'll be back in 5 minutes with the final 2 qualifying matches. As a reminder as well, after we wrap up this round of qualifiers, there is a second round, which is 4 more qualifying spots. 4 more qualifying spots are available after these matches wrap up, and we will be casting that in a couple of hours. We have a broadcast scheduled in, what is it, 5 hours time? 5 hours time? To be fair, do we just do it all? It depends. Like, these 2 best of 3s, this could be like 2 hours. So if that's the case, I would like to get some food. I'd like to eat and you know, sustain myself before getting into another wave of casting. So we'll see how we feel. We'll see how we feel before we get into round 2 of qualifiers. For now, though, we're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we'll have Beyond versus Solar coming up next. See you then.